Hi everybody, this is Lance from thetatraders.com. This video is going to be more of a vlog type post. It's not going to be specific strategies or anything like that, but I just wanted to go over how I use my teaching as my main profession. I'm a high school science teacher. I've been doing it for 16 years now, pretty much halfway into teaching into retirement. I want to show how I use my teaching methods for my own knowledge to help others learn how to sell options to make good premium, and also how I test out different strategies to see if they make sense. So, as a high school science teacher, a lot of what we're doing is the CER method, and that stands for C is the claim, E is showing the evidence, and then R is the reasoning behind it. So you might see a lot of different option strategies where you make a certain claim. The strategy makes a positive expectancy of X percent and it works this percent of the time. A lot of different claims out there, but then you want to be able to find evidence that it works. Now, there's a few different ways you can find evidence if stuff works or not. One is you could back test it. There's a lot of good back testing tools. Tasty Trade has a back testing software where you could look at SPY and many different strategies, selling calls, puts, all these different deltas and whatnot. And then you can actually see what would have happened in the past if you would have done a specific strategy, certain days, certain deltas, and all that. And then what your win rate would be, what the average return per trade could be, the max loss could be, and all those things. So that is part of the evidence part when you're looking at some back testing. So again, you make a claim, maybe if I sell a zero point 0.2 delta put credit spread on SPY at say 30 days out, it might have an average win of about 80% or so. The 20% of the time you're going to be losing out, but the 80% of the time you would win, and it might have a slight positive expectancy to it. So the reasoning behind all this is based on a lot of the data that you see from the option chains and from the different Greeks that we look at, like delta, theta, gamma, and all those things. So a lot of calculations have been made on deltas, especially where the technical term for delta is if stock goes up $1, then the option premium will go up the amount of the delta. However, it's also a good reasonable approximation to the percent chance that it would actually stay worthless or out of the money. For instance, if you do that zero point 0.2 delta put, just a naked put on something, there'll be about a 20% chance that it might go in the money at expiration. So, using a lot of these calculations in delta, and it's a lot of pretty advanced mathematics in order to calculate that stuff out, it has been shown in many cases that it's a little bit exaggerated compared to what the realistic returns are. So if it's a zero point 0.2 delta, it should say 80% of the time it works out, but in reality, it's usually a little bit higher than that. So that is some of the evidence that I've definitely been researching, and a lot of other traders have been looking at as well. The main reason why that might be occurring is the implied volatility of different options is different compared to the historical volatility of what it was in the past. And usually the current implied volatility is a little bit elevated. So that's why selling options is technically a preferred method over, say, buying options in many cases. Now, back to looking at teaching for claim evidence reasoning, a lot of what I might do is test out different strategies. I'll typically do those on paper. You don't want to necessarily risk a lot of your own funds for it. And then you want to get a good amount of data, a good amount of results. When I'm teaching my students, a lot of labs that we do, especially in chemistry and physics, we might do 3 to 5 data sets just to see how close that data is to one another. When you're looking at option trades, it could be many, many hundreds of data sets that you'll need to see if something is a viable strategy or not. So the two main ways that you can help look at that stuff is look at the back testing, see does it have a positive expectancy over time, and then also do your own trades. You can definitely start on paper first, and then you can see the actual results that you'll get from it. So, as a science teacher, we want to make sure that a lot of my students are understanding the reasoning why they're doing a lab a certain way, and then to try to see a certain result that might happen from it. I could give them the lecture based notes on this is what should happen when X chemical and Y chemical mix together. and then they just take the notes and then move on. But if they could actually show via a lab the actual stuff that's happening from it, it shows a bigger picture for those students so they're able to understand the concept a little bit better. So for option trades as well, we can relate it there. By doing many different option trades for many instances, you could see pretty typical results in a long period of time. And then if you're able to explain that out to other people, they could see the issues and what the positive results could possibly be as well. I just want to go over a few reasons why I actually made thetatraders.com. If you're one of the original subscribers to this channel, you'll notice that I did a lot of videos on dividend investing, looking at specific stocks and why they might be long term plays. And I still like buying these stocks. I mean, almost half my account is in buy and hold anyway, mostly in a Roth IRA. But there's only so much that you could do with that. I mean, you could definitely do some technical and fundamental analysis on different companies, buying them, and then hopefully it works out. But when I was doing option selling, it's been about 7, 8 years ago now that I started it out, just doing covered calls on relatively safe stocks. Notice that there is a more conservative way that you could go about getting very similar or slightly better returns than just buy and hold. So, one of the main reasons why I started thetatraders.com is to be able to teach the concepts that I've been learning on my own and to help others be able to get similar results where they could get at least market returns, possibly higher, with possibly less risk involved. And I think that option selling is the best strategy that you could do in order to get those benefits from it. So I also like teaching, obviously. Been teaching for 16 years and going to be continuing on for many years into the future. Maybe I got another 16 in me if my students don't make me have too many stomach ulcers and whatnot. But I definitely appreciate teaching everybody. And I also like teaching in theta traders. So a lot of members that we have here, quite a few of them are beginners. Should probably do a poll on this, but somewhere around 35, 50% or so might be relatively new or absolutely new to option trades. And then the other half, a little bit more than half, might have dabbled into option trades, but then they also wanted to get different strategies that might benefit their own risks and returns for what they're trying to reach their goals for. So definitely appreciate all the students that I have at Theta Traders. I'm a student myself. I do a lot of back testing, try out a lot of different strategies, but I definitely like just teaching others all the thoughts that I see about option selling, about why we do the trades that we do, and may or may not be the perfect person to do this stuff. I mean, no one's necessarily perfect at this stuff, but I think that being able to display what I'm looking for in my own trades, conveying it to others, and then if others decide they want to use that trade, fine. If not, maybe it's not part of their risk return profiles, then they don't do it. But also being able to teach the technical aspects to how do you actually enter a trade, when do we stop out of it, what buttons to press in order to do what you want to do for those trades. And that's actually a pretty large percent of the help that I usually give out to members one on one, especially the beginners. But even some intermediates and some advanced members, they do ask pretty advanced questions, and that's definitely things that I can help out with as well. Anyway, I hope you appreciated a little bit of the ranting that I gave. That was kind of in many different directions, almost like when you have a Newton's law problem and there's forces in all these different directions and drawing your free body diagrams. But just my general thought processes on these and why I do what I'm doing. So if you found this video relatively interesting, if you want to hear a little bit more of my just random thoughts that pop into my head, leave a comment down below and I'll do some future videos like this. Happy weekend, happy trading next week, and I'll see you guys on the next one.